Hey, this is Mad Movie Mark of the Mad Movie Mark Movie Review. Thank you for joining me as I review the 1942 war, romance, sometimes comedy film, Casablanca.
Of course, one must admit he has great courage.
I admit he's very clever.
Hey, well, thank you. I appreciate that. That is high praise, and I'm going to do the best I can to live up to it. If this is your first time joining me, I'm reviewing every movie in this book, the 1001 movies you must see before you die. Casablanca is considered to be one of the greatest films of all time. I'm not going to try to be a contrarian and tell you there's anything wrong with it, because I too think that it is perfect. It of course stars Humphrey Bogart as Rick, Ingrid Bergman as Ilsa, Paul Henreid as Victor Laszlo, Peter Lorre, and a small but very important role as Ugarte, and Claude Rains as Captain Renault. I personally think Claude Rains is one of the greatest actors of all time. He has this amazing ability to go toe-to-toe with some of the best leading men in Hollywood history and be as good, if not better, than they are. He was in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I thought he was just as good as James Stewart, and I think he's just as good as Humphrey Bogart in this film. So this movie won Best Picture. It was nominated for Best Actor in a Lead for Bogart. It was nominated for Best Actor in a Support for Claude Rains. It won Best Director for Michael Curtis. And it won Best Writing Screenplay. Now it's crazy because I didn't see this movie for the first time until I was in my early 20s. But after I saw it, I was filled with nostalgia because there's so many pop culture references to this film that I saw when I was a little kid. So the first time apparently I ever had any reference to this film was in the 1990s when I saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze.
Well, the lives of two people don't amount to a hill of beans in this crazy world, Ilsa. That's why you're getting on that plane. Maybe not today, maybe...
And there's also a song in this film. It's not the main song, it's not As Time Goes By, but it's a song called It Had to Be You, and I immediately recognized that from an episode of Gilligan's Island that I saw.
It had to be you. It had to be you. I wandered around and finally found somebody who...
So it's crazy how culturally significant this film is and how many references you can find just randomly in pop culture that I didn't even know about until I first saw this film when I was in my 20s. So the dialogue in Casablanca is one of the most quoted in film history, with lines like, "Here's looking at you, kid, we'll always have Paris," and "Louis, I think this is going to be the beginning of a beautiful friendship." Casablanca seamlessly combines romance, war drama, suspense, comedy, and political themes. In fact, one of my favorite scenes in this film is a bit of comedy. There's a point in the film when Rick's bar has to be shut down and Captain Renault is asked to shut it down. So he goes up to Rick and he says, "We're shutting down the bar, everyone must leave." And Rick says, "What's going on? Why are you shutting down my bar?" And he says, "Gambling. I can't believe there's gambling happening at this bar. I'm shocked." And then someone comes up to him and he says, "Here's your winnings, Mr. Renault." He says, "Oh, thank you," and then he walks away. He knows gambling's happening because he's gambling in the bar, but it's a hilarious scene. Captain Renault is really like the comic relief in this film, and I think that he does an absolutely genius job with it. So, this was released during World War II in 1942. The film encouraged audiences to oppose fascism. Rick's decision to sacrifice his own happiness for the greater good reflected the mood and values the Allies helped to inspire. The film cemented Bogart as a dramatic leading man and featured an unforgettable performance by Ingrid Bergman. Claude Rains' witty and morally ambiguous performance is often cited as one of the film's highlights, and Rick ultimately makes a selfless choice, and the ending has influenced countless films since. I think the ending is perfect. I think it is probably one of the best endings I've ever seen in a movie in my entire life. I realize that Alfred Hitchcock didn't direct this film, but the reason why Hitchcock is my favorite director of all time is because of the way he's able to have perfect endings to all of his films. I think the ending is the most important part. I think it's the part that a lot of directors and a lot of writers get wrong, but I think that this film does it absolutely astonishingly well. It's one of the best endings in movie history. So when this movie opens up, we are introduced to Rick. He is a jaded person who owns a bar/gambling ring. He has a friend named Ugarte. I don't think he works for him, but he's just like a friend who pops around the bar every now and then. Ugarte has just killed 2 Germans, and with it he has like 2 papers that he stole off the Germans. Now these papers are very important because it allows people to travel throughout the country and ultimately leave the country and go to America, where they'll be free from the Nazi regime. So he gives these papers to Rick for safekeeping, to watch after them. Now, the Nazis end up realizing that he has these papers and that he killed the Germans, so they go and they arrest him. After they arrest him, they end up killing him while he's in prison, and they start to think that maybe Rick has these papers. Now, Captain Renault is the one who's put in charge of obtaining these papers from Rick. Renault is someone who is not bad. He's just an opportunist. He kind of goes where the money is. Now he does work for the Nazis here in the beginning. He's not necessarily good, but he is an opportunist, and he just kind of goes where the opportunity is. Now, of all the gin joints that Ilsa could have walked into, she walks into Rick's bar. Now, Ilsa and Rick have a bit of a checkered past. Ilsa immediately recognizes what's going on when she walks into the bar and she sees Sam. She knows that Sam is affiliated with Rick, so she assumes that Rick is going to be somewhere as well. She asks Sam to play As Time Goes By, because that was kind of the song that her and Rick had together. As soon as Sam starts playing it, Rick pops in, angered, and says, "I thought I told you never play that song again." And then he sees Ilsa, and we start to learn what's going on with their relationship. So they were once together, and before the preoccupation happened by the Nazis, and then once they started occupying everything, they decided that they were going to flee and get away and go to Casablanca, where they would be safe. On the day that they were supposed to get away, Ilsa kind of ghosts him, and he has to go on his own with Sam, and he hopes that he'll never see her again. But he does see her, and when he does see her, she is with her husband, Laszlo. Now, she'll later explain that Laszlo was in a concentration camp, and the whole time she was with Rick, she was married to Laszlo, but she was under the impression that he died in the camp. And the day she was supposed to meet Rick, she learned that he didn't die, that he had escaped, and she leaves to go nurse him back to health and make sure that he's okay. So I think this makes Rick feel a little bit less jilted and a little bit less angered at what happened. Now, Laszlo is a very important figure. He is the leader of the revolution against the Nazis. He and Ilsa need this paperwork so that they can go to America and escape the Nazis and continue the work that they're doing. Of course, the Nazis don't want this to happen. They know that that is what Ilsa and Laszlo are after, so they desperately try to keep them in the country by telling Rick not to give them that paperwork. And if he does, bad things will happen. So Rick, through the whole movie, says that he doesn't have the paperwork, that it's not his, that he doesn't know what they're talking about. At the end of the movie, though, he has to make a decision. Is he going to give the paperwork to Laszlo and Ilsa and let them go off on their own and continue the resistance work that they're doing? Is he going to try to go off with Ilsa on his own, since they were once lovers and they still love each other, and he's going to allow Laszlo to get captured and he's going to do what's best for him? Or is he just going to take the paperwork himself and leave on his own? So this is a famous movie. The ending's famous. This is going to be spoilers here, but I think everyone knows what happens. If you haven't seen the movie, you should go watch it because the ending is the best part, and the decision he makes is the best part. So he decides he's going to sacrifice his happiness, and he's going to have Laszlo and Ilsa take the paperwork and go to America. Now, he forces Renault to help him at first, but in the end, Renault decides that he wants to do it anyway, and one of the reasons why I love the ending is because I love Claude Rains, and the fact at the end that he kind of redeems himself and decides that he's going to help, even though it's very detrimental to him, and it's very detrimental to the character of Rick. They both decide that they're going to do it. They're not going to be opportunists anymore. They're not going to just kind of be ambiguous to what their feelings are. They're going to take a side, and the side's going to be for good. And I think the ending is absolutely phenomenal. The use of shadows in this movie is spectacular. I think it rivals Citizen Kane. Citizen Kane, for me, has the best use of shadows, the best use of practical special effects. Citizen Kane really has everything that you could want in terms of shadows and practical special effects, but I think this movie rivals Citizen Kane with shadows, the use of shadows. It just does a phenomenal job. All the actors and actresses in this movie is just out of this world. I think Ingrid Bergman is one of the greatest actresses who ever lived. Paul Henreid does a fantastic job as Victor Laszlo. He is like the one truly redeemable character throughout the entire film. I guess Ilsa is too. But he's the good guy fighting for the good cause. Even though he has this rivalry with Rick, I don't know if you're necessarily supposed to dislike him because of that rivalry, but he's the good guy. He's the one fighting the Nazis throughout the entire film. Incredibly redeemable. Does an absolutely phenomenal job. Like I said, all the actors are amazing. Peter Lorre, it's hard to believe that he was in M. He's also in this. He's also in The Maltese Falcon. His filmography is also incredible. I still think M is his best performance in a film ever, but obviously this film as a standalone is great. He has a very small role in it, but it's a very important role, and I thought that he did an incredible job as well. Like I said, the acting all around is great. Fantastic script. Some of the best music in a movie ever. As Time Goes By is probably my favorite song from a film that's not a Disney film. It's just the way it's sung by Sam, the atmosphere that it's sung in, the way everything is perfect. Every time they sing As Time Goes By in this film, it is the perfect setting, the perfect time to sing it. It's just a great film. It's just one of the greatest films ever made. Everyone who watches it, I think, praises it. I've never seen anyone who said they don't like Casablanca. I think it would be impossible not to love Casablanca. It's just a fine piece of filmmaking. I give it a 10 out of 10. Thank you. I hope you join me next time when I review a movie that I have to go look up right now because I don't remember what it is. There it is. A movie called Cat People. Thank you. I hope you have a great